August Wilson is a two-time Pulitzer Prize winner and the playwright of some of America's best-loved stage stories. A famous speech delivered at Princeton and a controversial debate with Robert Brustein of the New Republic have launched a national discussion about race and money and marketing in the cultural arts today. On Monday, he will convene on Golden Pond, a 5-day closed-door summit at Dartmouth College on the state of black theater in America. It will be followed by a one-day town meeting open to the public. Open to us now, August Wilson. Welcome.
Thank you.
Why are you doing this?
Well, we're doing this because we need to take an assessment of the state of black theater. And what we are finding is that we do not have the tools to develop our writers, the tools to develop our directors and actors. Simply, we do not have the theaters or the relationship to the funding sources that would provide us with that opportunity.
So in a sense, you go in with the following premise: black theater is not what it ought to be, and we want to figure out what we can do to make it all that it can be.
Exactly. We're trying to provide a future, a better future for the theater.
Is it primarily money?
Yes. The relationship, again, we do not have the relationship with the funding sources, either private or public funding generally go to those institutions which promote and preserve and perpetuate European American culture.
You believe theater can make a difference in our lives in terms of helping us comprehend, understand, deal with significant social issues?
Yes, it can. It can also provide us with a better understanding of who we are as a people and as a nation. It helps to foster our will and purpose as Americans.
So you hope what comes out of this Dartmouth conference?
Well, what we hope to come out of the conference is that we hope to take assessment of our strengths, the areas in which we are lacking, and we need to go into our communities and find ways of structuring the theaters and better ways of maintaining them. And so we're hoping that that one of the things that's coming out is we have a relationship, a business partner relationship with the Tuck Business School, who are going to provide us with an opportunity for their students to go out and do case studies and things of this sort, so that we can begin to develop new ways of accessing the funding.
What does this do to all your work on King Hedley II?
Well, I haven't had the time to work on it like I would like, but this is after the conference, I'm going home and get back to work.
This is set in the 80s, right?
1985, yes.
So this is the 80s decade.
Yes.
How many decades do we have to go now?
After this, I have two more. The first decade of the century and the 90s, so yeah. the bookends.
Oh, they'll be great. I mean, I can't wait for the first 10 years of the century, because a lot went on and it was a fermenting time.
Absolutely, and I think that the fact that I have the first and the last, there's some relationship between the two, I suspect.
I suspect so. One will inform the other, certainly.
Yes.
Which one will you write first?
The 1900s.
And then so you'll know what you want to say when you come to the decade of the 19. And when do you expect to have both of those completed?
I couldn't say that. I couldn't say. I know this summer.
When do you expect to have them started?
Yeah, well, this summer I'm going to finish King Hedley II, and then we'll go from there.
You will finish it
this summer. Yeah. Yeah.
Same kind of ensemble actors you've had before, or others?
The same. Yeah. So it's an ensemble play. Yeah.
Back to what you're doing in Dartmouth. What's your significant what's your sense of the status of race relations in America?
I do not feel that black Americans are participating in the society as Africans. I feel that we have enormous contributions to make, but we are not allowed access to the tools, access to inroads into society in which to make those contributions.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean simply that as a people, the overall, if you look at society, you find that the values of society are geared toward European Americans. That is, all the cultural arts. You know, we have palaces built to Bach and Beethoven, but we don't have any jazz halls, as an example. You see, so we are not invited to participate. The way that we participate in American society is if we assimilate into society and forego the values of that our ancestors, the sense of ourselves, our sensibilities.
But take that into one individual life. You are suggesting that African Americans, and because of one of the great art forms created by Americans is jazz.
Yes.
And the blues.
Yes.
That in fact that they're homogenized out of people who want to join the mainstream?
Well, what I'm saying is that
we appreciate jazz in America, don't we?
Yes, of course, but we don't have any jazz halls in America. Jazz musicians work in venues. They work under financial distress.
But why, and who's at blame for that? I mean, if there's not an audience demanding it, what do you say?
Well, it's not anyone's at blame. You know, we're not.
I know. I don't mean we're creating villains,
Okay.
but you know what I mean. I mean, why are there people stammering to have a place to come to listen to jazz and not finding it, and therefore being
without
deprived?
question. Without question. But see, here again, it goes to the values of the society, and those values which are promoted by the dominant culture, and those values which are not promoted by that culture.
Then what's the obligation of the dominant culture to the minority culture?
Well, America is made up of many cultures and many races, and the obligation is to allow the participation so that we begin to become the society of which we're capable of coming to, which we aspire to, so that everyone participates in the making of culture in America. So you will then have something that you can call an American culture. Right now, you have European American culture, which has access again to the funding and which is supported by the society. So we need
a Eurocentric view of.
Exactly. So we need to have Hispanic theaters, we need to have black theaters, Asian theaters, and all of these contributing their aesthetic and their values and their sense of themselves to the thing called American theater can only strengthen and enrich it. We bring advantage to America, and we are trying to make our contribution so that we all can live an industrious and prosperous life.
Here's what's interesting. This has been pointed out, and it may be an easy answer, and you may say the answer is assimilation. 3 of the most popular Americans, are Colin Powell, Oprah Winfrey, and Michael Jordan.
Okay.
What does that say? I mean, what does that say about culture, about assimilation, about...
That says that we have a lot to contribute.
About the fact that people come along with extraordinary talent and have an opportunity to
Exactly.
be appreciated by the society.
Exactly. But at the same time, we are Africans in America, the African Americans, we're 35 million people. And we, if you go to the housing projects in Chicago and the conditions of our lives, the conditions of our communities, do not reflect the fact that the 3 most popular Americans are black. That has nothing to do with the 30 million people here in the country who cannot find ways to live industrious, useful, clean, hard, productive lives.
I want you to help me on this because I want to understand your point of view, which I assume you didn't get to argue with Robert Brustein when you did this little thing down with Anna Deavere Smith, wherever it was. Where was it?
Town Hall.
Town Hall. That was not a... It did not end up where you wanted it to end up in terms of an engaging discussion about the issues you feel significantly affect our lives.
That's correct.
And we want to get at some of them this evening.
Yes.
So is part of what you were saying, we need to respect, understand, promote, make available the culture of African Americans because it will play a part in self-image, self-identity, self-esteem, self-improvement, and respect for self.
I couldn't have said it better.
Well, why wasn't I on the program? No. But that's what it's about.
Exactly.
You know, and in a sense, if you lose or don't have the sense of esteem and sense of appreciation of culture, or if you feel like it is somehow denigrated, then you have no push to stand tall for it.
Yes, then our lives are devalued, you see. So when you have a situation as in American theater, when you have 66 theaters, 65 of which promote and preserve and perpetuate European culture, then you have a situation where we do not have the tools so we can participate. So if you had, as an example, if you had 9 black theaters and 65 white theaters on a 5-play season, that would be 45 plays, 45 directors who are not working now, a host of actors who are not working. In 2 years, there's 90 plays, 90 playwrights, 90 directors, and so we begin to work and make the contribution and develop our aesthetic, which we then can generously provide to the American theater to enhance and enrich the lives of everyone.
I don't know the answer to this question. Your plays do okay, don't they?
Yes, they do.
You make money, don't you?
Yes, they do.
People go to the theater to see your plays.
That's correct.
They're about the African-American experience in America,
That's
decade by decade.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What's the moral of that?
Well, you know, here again, a lot of my plays are...
Why August Wilson and not all these other people?
Well, exactly. A lot of my plays are done in these 65 regional theaters.
Right.
But when you go into those theaters, you go as a guest. You are, in fact, a house guest, a visitor. You see, and when your visitor pass expires, you leave the theater reverts back to its mission of promoting and perpetuating European cultural values. We are house guests. Now, you don't come into someone's house and rearrange the furniture and take their artwork off the wall and put your artwork on, you see. So we need our own houses, and we can decorate as we want to decorate and develop our aesthetic, our sense of ourselves.
Okay, help me now to cross the river of finding out how we make that happen without having somebody just write a check.
Well, one of the ways, it's not a question of someone writing a check. Here again, we need to go in our communities and develop, because these theaters that I'm talking about, the 65 white theaters, did not simply spring into being. They were pushed and pulled and otherwise provoked by people who cared about the arts in their communities. We can use them as models, but we have to have access to the funding sources, the public monies that fund those theaters. There is a disproportionate amount of money. For instance, the NEA in 1995 in the state of Ohio spent $1,192,000 on classical music and $7,000 on jazz. This discrepancy simply cannot continue because we do not have the tool. Our talent is dying. There are people who just do not have the opportunity to produce and be productive.
Have you put that question to the Ohio legislature?
I have not, no.
As to why they made the choices that they made? Yeah, I assume it had to do with the grant process of some sort.
Exactly, and so when you have these,
or who spoke the loudest and with the most power.
Also, a lot of times the guidelines on these funding things exclude a lot of theaters.
You believe that segregated theater, can we use that word?
That's not a word I would use.
What would you use?
American theater.
Okay. So, but African-American theater, essentially.
Yes.
A theater dedicated to the best African-American playwrights, the best African-American actors, to an audience of anybody who wants to come in.
Exactly.
Right. But it is, in a sense, dedicated. It's not dedicated to putting on plays by O'Neill or Chekhov or Shakespeare.
That would not be his mission. No, that's not to say that you wouldn't do that.
Put on play. What's its mission then?
Its mission is to put on plays by black playwrights and to develop our aesthetic and to provide a cohesive sense of self for the community. It does all of these things.
So your argument is if we go and do this and create these institutions,
exactly,
then it will contribute to, over the long run, to the greater good, because it will increase appreciation and it will help people understand their past, not only to give them strength in the present, but be a bridge to the future.
It can only, correct, it can only make for a vital America.
So there's nothing to lose here, is it?
I don't think so. That's why I don't understand why people don't understand this.
Well, but they don't like the idea of people. They think that the American way is not to separate, but the American way is to assimilate. That's the American ideal. And that's why it is the American mythology. You know, you come across the...
Yes, but
some came and changed. We also ought to know did not come at free will.
Exactly. But these 65 theaters that you have, this American way, the fact is that they are, in essence, segregated from the black community. They have no relationship with the black community.
When people talk about political correctness, what do you think they mean?
I'm not sure what they mean.
But they would try to beat you over the head with it. You know that.
Yes, yes. I'm not sure what that means. There are some things, words like multiculturalism, racism,
right,
political correctness, which they have been so misused that they have lost all the meaning that they could possibly have.
Yeah. They're words too pregnant with misunderstanding.
Yes, yes.
Would you change anything about the way it's turned out for August Wilson?
No, I would not. I've been blessed, both in my career and my life.
Blessed in your career because you've had an opportunity to see your...
Exactly, because I've had the opportunity that I would like to see other black playwrights have.
Do they come to you for advice? I would assume a Pulitzer Prize winner, successful.
Sometimes, you know, I have playwrights send me scripts and, you know, try to find a way to get it produced. And if there were these theaters, there would be many opportunities for them to, you know, to have that.
Yeah. August, it's great to see you as always. The Department of Drama at Dartmouth College proud to announce the winner 1998 Montgomery Fellow Residency of renowned playwright August Wilson. His honors include numerous Drama Critics Circle and Drama Desk Award, a Tony Award, 2 Pulitzer Prizes, marks him as one of America's most distinguished living playwrights and the most important and prolific contemporary African-American playwright. He is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences and was recently inducted into the American Academy of Arts and Letters. That's a life to be proud of, my friend.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, August Wilson. Thank you for joining us. On this evening, we've taken leave from discussions about war and politics to talk about the gift and celebration of talent and writing for the stage and acting on the stage. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night.